everyone, welcome to the American Computer Enthusiast Show. My name is Steve Reeves, and I'll be your host, and again, we have a great show. We've got Carlos Ramirez from PC People, and the title of this show is going to be Databases 101 with Microsoft Access. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
The air dances with the waters, which brings the rain that feeds the land, that is home to the animals. All life dances together.
In a world so connected, choosing one environmental cause can be hard. EarthShare is 40 environmental charities working together. You and your company can help by calling 1-800-MY-SHARE.
All life lives, or doesn't, together.
So, whose influence are you under?
Hi everyone, welcome back to the show. In case you just tuned in, this is the American Computer Enthusiast Show, and we've got another great show. Like I said earlier, it's Databases 101, and we'll be using Microsoft Access. And our guest is Carlos Ramirez from PC People here in Houston. He's actually one of our hosts too, but he's kind of our host slash guest tonight. So it ought to be a great show. We've got I always like to go through all my little paperwork here. Make sure everybody knows our hotline number is 587-5369, 587-5369. There'll be a little slide that comes up, actually a big slide, that shows that number so you can write it down. And also our email address is ace@macaw.com, ace@macaw.com. Write that number down, all right? And send us any information you might want to see in future shows, comments about the show, if you like Carlos's shirt, you know, whatever you want. And also I want to make sure everybody knows the next couple of shows so people can write this down in their calendar so they won't miss the next couple of shows. Next week is PC tax software, and the host will be James DiMaggio, one of our other hosts, and he'll be talking about all the different software available for the PC for doing your income taxes. And then in 2 weeks, we'll be doing a show on installing a multimedia kit in your PC. We've had a lot of phone calls about that, about people that just bought a multimedia kit or a CD-ROM or a soundboard, and they want to know how to make everything work, and then when they put in the soundboard or the CD-ROM, then something doesn't work, or their mouse doesn't work anymore, or whatever. So we're actually going to do it right here on the table and explain exactly how to put everything in the CD-ROM and how to install the sound card, how to do all the check for interrupts and all that other fun stuff. I guess that's it. We have some books of the week. Should we go ahead and show them now? Yeah, well, just the books that I brought here. We'll do this. First one, the word access is going to come up a lot tonight. This is Houston Access, the channel. We're showing Microsoft Access. And I brought this book. I think I brought a magazine. I brought this before, but this is the newest issue. It's called Online Access, and it shows all kinds of information, a lot about internet and how to get on internet, and this is actually nothing but internet issue. And it talks about with the World Wide Web and all kinds of other things. And so there's always a lot of good addresses and places to find different things in here so you can get this. And I just buy these at like Bookstop and places like that. Another one, this is actually a magazine / software of the week, and this is CD-ROM Today. Now this is like $7.95, but what's really great about this, not only is it a magazine, but it comes with a CD-ROM with all kinds of fun stuff like edutainment, electronic libraries. There's even a thing on here how to make paper airplanes, but it actually comes with the CD-ROM that goes along with the magazine, so you can try different things out. And then the last thing is our magazine of the week, book of the week. I'll get that straight one of these days. Because we're talking about Access, I brought these. These are actually pretty cool little books. It's made by Microsoft. It's their field guide. And this one is actually for Access 2.0 for Windows. And it's quick little reference, and it's got all the everything you'd ever want to know about all like access from A to Z, access from A to Z. And what's really neat about these, they make a bunch, because I am a nerd, like I say every week, there's a bunch of these, and I have anything that's nerdy, you know. Access, there's Word 6.0, there's MS-DOS 6.2, it has all the, some things you might not know or want to read the big manual to read about different commands and things. It's great in here. And there's also Excel 5.0 and Windows 3.1. And this is, you know, there's everything from how to set up, swap files to keys and hotkeys and all that other fun stuff. So these are great little books. They're actually made by Microsoft. You have these at PC People?
Yes, we don't always stock those particular ones. We stock other Microsoft Press books.
Oh, you do? Okay. I just like these because they're small and easy. And, they usually have, like I say, A to Z,
Well,
all the commands and things. One day?
1 or 2 days. I know.
Okay, well that's our book or books of the week. I guess that's all I want to talk about. So I guess what we're going to do right now is introduce our guest / host. It's Carlos Ramirez from PC People here in Houston.
G/H.
Yeah, exactly, guest / host. Before we get started with what we're going to show, tell us a little about PC People. What is PC People?
Well, we're a small, well, actually, it's not small anymore. Used to saying small. We're a local software provider, and we sell to user group communities, academic institution, corporate, and government. And we have a bunch of sales guys working there. All have their little detailed duties, so we have some people that are dedicated to retail, and we try to hire just the knowledgeable type people that have a little bit more knowledge than you can find just anywhere.
So how'd you get there?
Well, actually,
No,
I paid for them. I paid them to hire me.
And what do you do there?
Actually, I'm vice president now.
Are you really?
Yeah. So.
When did that happen? Does it say that on your business cards now?
Yep. Somewhere around October.
Would they fire somebody or something?
No.
No, I'm just kidding.
Nobody to fire, actually.
I'm just kidding. So what are we going to talk about tonight?
Well, tonight we're going to have we're going to talk about databases in general. We want to go over something that's common with all databases, whether you're talking about a flat file database or a relational database, and we'll define those two here at the beginning. We're going to be using, since we're on Access, we're going to be using Microsoft Access. Actually, that's not the reason. I happen to use Microsoft Access now. It's the #1 selling Windows database currently. And I don't know about as far as market share or anything like that, but it's the most rapidly selling Windows database. And most everybody that is running Microsoft Office, which is the suite of products that includes what were in the books there. It has Excel, Word, and also PowerPoint. If you buy the professional version of the suite, it also includes Access. And Microsoft is selling a lot of these suites, and actually the whole industry is going towards pushing suites. That way they can get their whole line of products. Microsoft, though, currently offers the suites a multi-platform with respect to Mac. So you have Windows and Mac. Basically, everything's the same: Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. The only difference, though, there is not an Access for the Mac at this time, but there is a Fox Pro for the Mac, which is another Microsoft database. And there's also some corporations can buy Microsoft Microsoft Office with Fox Pro, which is another database. Actually, if anybody has a question about that, a lot of times we get asked questions of what should I buy? Should I buy Microsoft Access or should I buy Microsoft Fox Pro? And our answer generally is that if you're going to be doing development work and you're going to be, like say you're a consultant, people hire you to write programs, and you want to write programs for clients, and you don't want to mess around with the programs. You want like an executable program, standalone program, then you would want to go into Fox Pro. Also, if you have to do something in DOS, because Access is not available as a DOS product. So Fox Pro for DOS, you can create DOS applications, like accounting applications, different databases, maybe church directory, something like that. Also, if you have a lot of investment in DBase language or DBase programs already, then FoxPro would be the way you want to go, because if you were to move to Access and you have a lot of development work done in DBase, you can read the database files, and we'll show that here. We can read a DBF is the file that type that DBase 3 and 4 create. You can read the data in, but any application work that you've done, any customizing application work will not follow. So if you have, like an accounting program is a good example that people do in databases. If you have one written in database and DBase, then you would want to go towards, if you want to go to Windows, the easiest route for you would be either DBase for Windows or FoxPro for Windows. Those are your like DBase type stuff.
Is there a big price difference between Access and FoxPro?
Right now, Access, if you were just to say you didn't own anything, you just bought a computer, you don't own anything, and you want to be legal, and you buy Access, the street price is going to be around $299 for Access. If you want to just buy FoxPro, they have an introductory going on right now for $99. Also, sometime in the spring, there's going to be a new FoxPro coming out called Visual FoxPro, which is going to actually change the positioning of FoxPro. As right now, FoxPro's positioned as a not so easy to use development tool, and with it becoming a visual type product, it's going to be a little bit positioned just a little bit different.
Right.
But it's still going to be a development effort.
Now, Access is a little less expensive if you already own Office, right? Standard Office?
Correct. If you own any competing database, and there's a list of them, whether it's DBase or Q&A or File Pro or FileMaker Pro, there's just a zillion. A PC File, I think, might be one of them. If you own a competing database, a competitor's database, then you can purchase Access. The street price is like $119. So it's a lot less. And also, if you own Office, it's $119. And
Standard Office.
Right, Office Standard.
Right.
If you if you bought Office Standard and you want to upgrade it to Professional, which the only thing is you have to add Access. Also, you can, just so people know, if you are really interested in like Microsoft Office, for example, and you own Lotus or WordPerfect, you can qualify to buy a competitive upgrade to Microsoft Office Professional with Access, all 82 megs of it, for $355 is the street price.
Right.
So, yeah.
Is Access a hard program to install or anything?
No, the installation's typical Windows installation.
A-colon setup?
Right. A-colon setup, or if you are lucky, if you have the CD-ROM version, it's really easy.
That's what I was going to ask you. It does come on CD-ROM?
Access itself does not, but you can purchase Office Standard or Office Professional on CD-ROM.
Right.
And it's really, if you have the CD-ROM, we've had clients buy CD-ROMs just to do this because it's 31 discs.
Right.
And about on a 4625 or something, you're talking 2 or 3 minutes a disc. It's a long time.
Yeah, because I know Standard, to do Office Standard, we have it on CD-ROM at work, and it takes about 2 hours on discs, and it takes about 20 minutes on CD.
Right. I just tell it the directories and go have your coffee.
Right.
Or if you really, want to get work done, you can Alt-Tab out of there and continue working. So, guess we'll take a look at Access.
Why don't we go ahead and look at the program and see exactly how it works, and what we need to, I guess what we need to do is define some of the different parts of Access. I don't know what you want to show first.
Okay, again,
people
a lot of this is common across multiple databases.
Not just Access.
Right, it's not just Access. This particular interface we're looking at here is, just with Access. But for example, you have your typical stuff. We have the little tips turned on, so if I forget what an icon stands for, it'll say this, like that white sheet there is new database. And then you have the little folder that's open. That's where we can click to open a database. Now we can click there, or you can also go to the menu and click the menu, and then do open database here. Also, this is common across all Windows applications, all actually good Windows applications. And there's a lot of them out there, but there's some apps that do not do this, and they just make me mad. But like I have it set to have the last 4 databases I opened, and if you were in WordPerfect, you could have it set to the last 4 documents that you worked on.
Right.
If you were in Lotus for Windows, for example, you could have it on the last 4 spreadsheets. So that's just a common thing that's on all of them, and Access does it. Okay, so we'll go over here. If you click on the open database little button, it opens up to the wrong directory, of course. Okay, well anyway, I keep my files in here. We have a MDB that stands for Microsoft Database. All right. The easy way, we're working with this database called Personal, and what we're going to do tonight is I'm just going to show you quickly in the amount of time we have.
You can show us slowly.
Or slowly, how to create a database from the beginning, or if you have data site like in DBase, on a DBase file, import it into Access. We're going to make a query. We'll make a quick query, which is a query is when you define, if you're trying to get a set of data out and use that data for something. For example, you want to get all the people you have in 770 and in 770. So in Houston,
Right.
You say I want everybody in 770, and you can say bring up everybody in 770, whether they be in 77057 or 77021. Okay. All right. So and then we'll work with forms reports, and I'll define each one of those as we go along. Looking at there's an explanation at the bottom of the page also that tells you what you want, what these buttons do. You have two helpers here, so whatever you're into looking. You have your print, your basic icons, import, export, and these wizards and whatnot. You have this little...
what is that import and export that comes in from Word? Is that what, oh, I see. What's next to that?
Okay, you got two of them. These are like, okay, Microsoft has implemented in a lot of their programs little helpers called wizards. And what it does is you click on something and it says, let me show you how to do this. And you can use the wizard. You can also opt not to do it. And there are situations when you do not use a wizard.
Right.
But, for example, on something like merge it, the wizard's really nice because it tells you step by step, okay, what, am I going to go into a already created document, or if I want to send out this baby shower database to a Word file and do a mail merge and send out letters, or if I want to do mailing labels, I would use that little merge it.
Right.
And if we have time later on, we'll show that.
I use the wizards all the time in PowerPoint. They're really
Right.
great for making things up, automatically ask you what about the borders and what size text and everything else. And also I like the wizards a lot in Microsoft Works too. There's a lot of
Works,
great
yeah.
things for databases and things like that.
One of the wizards I use, besides, I use the report wizard a lot because it just makes things faster.
Right.
And
Mailing list, there's a good one.
Right, and there's report groups. I do a lot of group and totals. And instead of going in there and defining the groups and totals from a blank form, I just let Access do most of it, and then I go in there and modify it.
Yeah.
So, all right. Also, what I use are right clicks. If you right click on your mouse in different parts of the program, different things pop up. This is a right click for a toolbar. That's a toolbar section, so I can change it from database to Microsoft or customize different toolbars. Okay, if I right click there, nothing happens. If I right click here, all these actions pertain to this little window, the table window. So I can rename a database, I can output it to another file, or I can print that database and they'll just give me a simple printout, nothing like a report. Send it by email. If you hooked up on a network, you can send it by email across the same database to somebody, or I can delete it. Okay. All right, and we can, if I click up here on the database itself, we have import, export, attached table, and then we have relationships.
All right. We're going to have to take a quick break.
Okay.
I'm going to make sure everybody stays tuned, and we'll just take a quick break. So stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Remember how good it felt the first time you gave 5? Well, now there's another way to give 5. Set a goal to give more. 5 hours a week and 5% of your income to the causes you care about. It'll make you feel like a winner every day of your life. So give more. Give 5. Call 1-800-55-GIVE-5. Because disaster strikes someone every single day. There's always going to be one more night. Someone needs food, shelter, and a place to rest. Please support the American Red Cross. Because without your help, one more night could be hard to come by.
You're watching the Public Access Channel, a service of Access Houston Cable, where you make television happen.
Hi everyone, welcome back. This is the American Computer Enthusiast Show. My name is Steve Reeves and I'll be your host, and our guest tonight is Carlos Ramirez from PC People. What we're doing is, the title is Databases 101, and we're actually using Microsoft Access 2.0. And Carlos, why don't you go ahead, what exactly are we running here? What PC are we running here?
Okay, well, basically it's your average run-of-the-mill clone. This actually 2 weeks ago was a 386-25, and with no cache, and I got a real good deal on these motherboards that are running around. It's a 486 SLC266 motherboard with a Mathco processor, which makes it 486 DLC2. So as far as when any these programs look at it, it looks like a 486 DX66.
All right.
The one disadvantage to this board is it only has a 16K internal cache, which the average on those boards are 256.
Right.
So it's not a powerhouse computer. We have 8 megs of RAM, and so again, it's not a powerhouse. Most of the computers anybody would buy today are going to be the equivalent of this or higher.
Why haven't you changed your little readout here?
Well, actually, that LED is not a smart LED. All it is it has 2 choices.
Oh. The one I bought a new case for my computer because my power supply went out, and it was actually cheaper to buy a new box, a new case, with the power supply
Right,
and the LED readout.
$60 or something.
And there must have been 8,000 different settings to make it say 66. And the one that it actually said it in the little manual that was in like some foreign language, which if you made it like that, it actually had 6 with no tops on top of it. So I had to actually play with every one of those little things, and finally I made it 66. And then when you press the turbo button, I just made it 0 because I never could make it go back to what I want it to be. So, but those things are impossible to figure out. You have to, once you figure it out, don't ever mess with it.
Right.
That's the way it is. I want to make sure everybody knows. Oh, the other thing is our hotline, 587-5369, 587-5369. And our email address is ace@macaw.com, ace@macaw.com. And you can leave information, any kind of information on there, what you like to see in future shows, topics, whatever you want to do, comments. Like I said, only positive comments. We don't want any negative comments, unless it's about Carlos's shirt. And
my print shirt.
the other thing is, I want to make sure, real fast, I'll show everybody our books of the week, or magazines. I can't get that straight for some reason. I have my brain fell out earlier today and I didn't get it all back in. Magazine of the week is Online Access, and this is actually a real good book. It actually doesn't just talk about, this issue does just talk about internet, but usually it's about everything, America Online and everything else. The Software of the Week, actually magazine/Software of the Week, is CD-ROM Today, and this actually comes with, it's a magazine, it comes with the CD-ROM. And then the book of the week, I do that real fast because the camera people get real upset if I don't have something up in front of me here. Access, this is actually a Microsoft Access 2 for Windows, a little field guide. It's an illustrated sort of quick reference. Anyways, let's go right back to the computer.
Okay. Something else I might as well, I think you should know is the requirements.
Oh, okay. For Access.
Right, correct. For Access, actually for Office Professional. If you're going to get Office Professional, the most memory-hungry program is Access. And Access requires 6 megs of RAM to run. Now, it'll come up in 4, but barely.
Slower than Beans.
Right, and then it'll work in 6, but at PC People, generally we recommend 8 megs of RAM minimum for any Windows app now. So if you're running Windows 3.1 and you're running any of the app that's less than 2 years old, you should probably have 8 megabytes of RAM. That includes WordPerfect, Lotus 5.0, Excel, all those.
Well, it's like every week, one of my pet peeves that I always bring up is why all these places that sell computers
With 4 megs.
with 4 megs of RAM, you have to almost immediately add more memory to run some of the programs that actually even come with the computer.
Right, especially if you buy a multimedia computer.
Right.
And don't buy an SX. Whatever you do, no SX. Okay, you know why.
Well, because
no
of the
X.
number crunching and everything.
Yeah. Also, as far as hard disk requirements, it's around 20 megabytes if you load the sample file.
That's on your hard drive.
Right. And all of Office Professionals are 82 megs, the complete install.
So if you have a 20 meg hard drive,
Yeah, luck. Okay.
One thing we want to mention also, HAL PC.
All right. Tomorrow, you'll be watching this if you're watching this on February 6th, Monday, February 6th, tomorrow, February 7th, at the Sheraton is the HAL PC meeting. And come a little bit early. IBM's going to be doing a big hoopla there, and it's going to be OS2 Warp live and in person, and they got some big wigs coming from New York and everything, and from Armonk, whatever, however you pronounce that.
Nobody knows how to say it.
Armonk, New York, and it's a big deal. So come warp it up with these IBMers on Tuesday, February 7th at 7 at the Sheraton Astrodome. See you there.
The other thing is that we always try to mention, although sometimes I forget, but not very often, this show is on Monday nights at 7 o'clock, and then it's also repeated on Saturday afternoons at 3 o'clock. A lot of people seem to watch it on Saturday afternoons for, I don't know, everybody's at home.
There's no lawns to mow.
Yeah, it's too cold. And but they also repeat it every so often too, but we never know when it's repeated sort of as a filler.
Right.
But for sure it's on every Monday night at 7 o'clock, and also Saturday afternoons at 3 o'clock. And also, one other thing about HAL PC, they do have an Access SIG, don't they, Special Interest Group?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I haven't
So if you join HAL PC, there's a weekly or a monthly, usually a monthly SIG meeting, Special Interest Group, on Access. But there's actually for everything, not just Access. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. The way Access organizes, what a database is the database has all the information that pertain to the database. So it's not just names and telephone numbers and recipes, accounting data. It also, the way Access organizes, you have a database, and this one's called Personal. And the name up here, right here, and this is what's known, this little window here is called the database window, okay? And we're on the tab that says Tables. Now, tables are what we traditionally call databases. It's a table of information, and in this particular database, I have 4 tables in there right now in this database. We also have some, well, not yet, we don't have any queries yet, but we will, and we'll have a report and a form, okay? But tables are the actual information. You can open a table by hitting open, or you can just double-click on the particular name of the table that you want to open, and it pops up. This one has 68 names, and it's probably about 14 fields, if I recall.
It's called Baby Shower?
Actually, it's only about 8 fields. Okay, right. This is Baby Shower back when, before Andrew was born. We sent all these invitations out. This Friends...
So you actually use this program?
Right, but this is actually, we did that in Q&A. Okay, the Q&A database, which is a flat file, and this is a good time to explain the difference. Basically, there's relational and flat files. Flat files are pretty much disappearing because of the price of relationals is so low now. It used to be relational was $600-700 street price, for DBase, Paradox, that kind of stuff. Now they've come down considerably, and there's no need to have flat files.
For normal people.
Right, but a flat file database, what it does is generally it's just one table of information, and that's why they call it a flat file. You have your names and addresses and phone numbers in there, and that's it. And then they expanded their capabilities a little bit in the late 80s, and they were able to pull in information from external sources. The problem was they couldn't export, send the information. So if you were updating, you couldn't update a file from another file. Relational database has several tables among it, and it's sharing information from all these tables,
Right.
pulling and adding and all that. Okay, this is a little larger one. This Friends 2. This has, as you can see down here, at the bottom of the screen, we have a few buttons. And this is what's known as a data sheet view, okay, in Access terminology. And we have record 1 of 90.
You actually have 90 friends?
Well, they're alleged.
Okay.
And we have little, what they call VCR control buttons. And if you push the single button, it moves to the right one. Actually, that moved 2. And for some reason, it's skipping number 3, or number 2. And this one on the right with the bar is to the end of the file, so I can go to the last name in the file. We're on record number 90. This is the record pointer, okay? And if I
Make
click,
sure you point to that.
can you see that? That big arrow is the record pointer, and this little arrow is you're selecting, it's actually the mouse. So if I click on that, I'm on record 85 of 90, okay? If you want to go back to the beginning of the file, you just click this left button, and you go back to the beginning. Okay, you can also scroll across this way to see all your fields, and you can, and that's it. Okay, now you can come in here, and if I want, I can edit right now. So if I wanted to, I can go in here and edit, and change somebody's name, which I just did. Okay, and that's it now, but this is very difficult to edit in this view. This is called a table view, and it's very difficult to edit in this, okay? But this is just, what you do here is you can do different things with your table. I open just to look at it. We can go in here and design something. Here's the names of the fields. Okay, in a database you have several components. What you have basically are fields and records, okay? And then you have your table. Okay, a table is composed of records. A record's composed of fields. Okay, so for example, if we're talking about a table of friends' names, the table would be friends, and then the records, each record would be each name, like Steve Reeves, and have his first, his last name, his hobby, nerdism, address, phone number, birth date, that kind of stuff. Okay, that composes a record, and generally, if you're a data entry person, what you see on, if you bring up somebody at local grocery store, not a grocery store, but a department store, somebody's record, you're looking at a record of their record. Right. And then each field is the name. Is like, for example, first name, last name, address, address to, so if you're doing like suite, apartment number, that kind of stuff, city, state, zip, those are fields. Okay, and one way to think about this also is that you can think about it as a spreadsheet is also like a database. You have rows, and each row is a record, and each column is a field. And that's one way to help you think about this stuff. All right. Okay, there can be several data types. Okay, when you're in a field, you can change the data type. So I made this field called first. Actually, Access made it. And you can have different types of data.
That's first name.
Right, first name. Right. It just abbreviated. You can also have like memo, number. It could be a date time field. It could be a currency field. It could be a counter field, which a counter field, what that is like every time you add a record, it puts a counter up. You know, so it gives it a record number. That's a good example of a counter field, a record number, or a customer number. Right. And it's something that the database generates, and you can actually cause it to generate certain numbers. Okay. You can, like a lot of people, sometimes nowadays people add numbers based on the zip code. So if you're in a certain zip code, they take your zip code and add an integer to it to give you a customer number. Oh, okay. Okay. You have yes/no fields, which we'll be showing you later, and that's just an easy way to get a query. And then an OLE object, which OLE stands for Object, Link, and Embedding. And basically what an OLE object is like a picture or a movie clip or sound file, something like that that's associated with this particular record. So for example, in a friends database, you could actually have people's pictures with their, when you bring up their name, you look up Steve Reeves, there could be a big picture there. Okay?
I'd like that.
And then there's an optional description field over here. Okay? Then, if you look down here, whenever we're in a field, it says the size is 20. That's how many characters can be in that particular field. You can adjust that. The big note, there's a lot of, it gets pretty deep here at this level, but just for example, if you wanted to do something for business, you want to do an input mask, you can have like telephone number is a good input mask. That's the mask that and whenever somebody goes in that field, you can force them to type a area code and then the number, and it puts the hyphen, it puts the parentheses, and then you put the last four number. You can have an extension, that kind of stuff. That's what an input mask is. Okay, so we didn't do any changes to that. You're going to say, well, how hard is it to design one of these databases? Okay, well, you could go in here and you could start typing, first name and do that. Or because Microsoft Access has these wizards, they've made it really simple, even for home use. We can use a table wizard to create a table. Again, we're not on a powerhouse machine. Wish we were sometimes. But this little wizard comes up, and it's going to ask you what kind of tables. Okay, so it has sample tables here. So we have mailing list, contact, customers, employees. Those are business. And you can select here, and you can go into personal. So I can have friends, guests, category, household inventory. Let's look. I've never looked at that one. Recipes. But you can click, and these are the sample fields. Okay, and you can pick all the fields, okay, on this household inventory database. Then on a
Oh, I see. The little one arrow means pick one at a time.
Right.
The double arrow means pick everything.
right, overlook that. Okay, right, and if you don't want one, you can actually say you don't want description. Well, we don't want to do it, but you can take just one out. Okay, all these wizards come up with this little next button, so you can hit the next button. It's kind of follow me along here. If you read the text and everything, and it says, what do you want to name your table? Well, we'll call it household inventory.
Or you could put your name there, for example.
Right.
Carlos's house or something.
Right, something like that. You can change it.
Or the
And-
date, the
Right.
month and date or something.
Right, exactly. And then it asks you if it's related to any other table. So if I had like a table of, I don't know, what you wouldn't do it in household inventory. Probably.
Well, maybe if you had like all your CDs, because CDs
Right,
are expensive,
that's- right,
and
good idea.
you might want to have all your records of your CDs, so you knew that you had 500 CDs, and that's worth a lot of money.
Right.
You'd relate it to that database.
Right. So that's good.
I just
Our
thought of that
VCR
myself. They're pretty good.
That's good, Steve. So it's asking you for a relationship to another table here. And at this particular, we're not going to relate it to anything. Okay, and then, boom, you just push finish, little checker flag. There's hints along the way. If you have any trouble, you can hit the hint. If you read the thing like most experienced people don't,
Right.
it's a reboot, boom. So,
So it actually makes it up automatically.
right, and this is it. And if you look, the whole table's created, so you can just, the ID, the counter, that's the counter field we were talking about. We tab first, and we start typing TV, right?
Right.
That's, and it automatically gave it an item
A one.
identification. And, we can, have types and, home entertainment, description,
Sony
Toshiba, whatever, right? So,
Well, that's pretty slick.
and that's it. And it saved us a table, okay? All right, we want to go in here to the Friends, was it Friends 2? That had since Valentine's Day is right around the corner, we're just going to go in here and type yes in a couple of fields so we can do this.
Yes.
Okay,
So that person gets a Valentine's then.
right.
All
This will
right.
be the easy way to... So I'm just editing the database like this. I shouldn't hit enter though.
You should just tab down or arrow, so that work.
Yeah, I should arrow. And then we're just going to grab a few people to send Valentine's
All right.
cards to.
I'll tell you, while you're typing this, we're going to have to take a quick break. So make sure everyone stays tuned, and we'll be right back with more of Database 101.
Excuse me. Do you wear your safety belt?
Why, no. I don't wear my safety belt.
Thank you.
You could learn a lot from a dummy. Buckle your safety belt.
Oh, hey, what's going on? Shh, Smokey's coming.
What are you guys up to?
Oh.
Be careful with matches and campfires. Remember, only you can prevent forest fires.
Sorry, force of habit.
Bummer.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the show. In case you just tuned in, this is the American Computer Enthusiast Show. My name is Steve Reeves and I'm the host tonight. And our guest/host is Carlos Ramirez. He actually is a host also on the show, but not tonight. He's from PC People here in Houston, and we're taking a look at, well actually the title is Databases 101, and we're actually using Microsoft Access 2.0. That is the version 2.0, right?
Correct.
That is correct. Good answer, Carlos. And one thing we wanted to do real fast was Carlos brought some books too to help you learn Access, because it comes with manuals, but nobody ever likes to read manuals. Here's a book right here. It's called Using Access. This is actually by Q. They make a bunch of good books. Q does. And this is real good. It couldn't be much thicker. Kind of looks like the Bible or something, you know?
Right, it's like 1,200 pages.
1,200 pages. And then there's the other one is Access running Microsoft Access 2.0. And this one, this is another, you know, just a couple of days you could read this. No big whoop. This one actually comes with a disc,
right, so you
a
don't
companion
have to redo
disc.
every program.
Right.
But actually, what happens is, when you do the disc, you end up redoing every one anyway. So,
but I find
the only thing
myself
that's nice is that you don't have to input the data.
Right. I find myself when I look for books now, I look for books that come with discs or CDs, and I buy those before I would buy one without a disc or a CD.
Right.
Just because I'm a nerd.
Right.
You know, I like to get as many discs and CDs as possible. You know.
You get more for your money.
Exactly.
Also, those books are in a tutorial fashion. So, for example, if you're already well versed on Access, or you have a good foundation, or if you have a good foundation in databases, it shouldn't take you very long to figure out the idiosyncrasies of Access. So, once you do that, these books are only okay. They're not great references because it's too much work to get to the information since they're based on tutorial fashion. And that's why one would use the Microsoft reference manuals.
Oh, okay.
And that's what they are, is reference manual. Those are really boring to read, but if you're looking for a quick and dirty answer on something and it's not in help, you go to the reference manual. Also, there are some
they're really
third-party.
heavy.
Yes.
These things are great for pressing flowers too.
Right.
Like
yeah, dry
corsages.
flowers, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Also, we'd like to hear from our viewers out there. If you would like us to continue this kind of tutorial type stuff, in-depth view, generally we don't get to see an in-depth view of a lot of stuff. I understand you did a couple shows where they did some in-depth views.
Yeah, just on Windows, Nerds 101 and Nerds 102, where we talked about hardware, you know, like ports, what a serial port, parallel port, hard drives, all those different things. Plus we got into Windows. And we got more phone calls than we've ever got on any shows. It's unbelievable. So people apparently do like these tutorial
So
type
give
shows.
us a call on our hotline and we'll try to, I mean, we can add some, like, we haven't done anything yet and we're still on the tables section. And it's not even the fun part. There's not really that much to do in tables, but you can go much further into tables. And also, like if we could do, like, you know, queries can take up enormous amount of time. You know, there's hours and hours of information on queries and reports and forms.
Well, this is a good show just to get people interested in what a database is, explain what it is. Then we can do a database 102 and a database 103 to get into the, you know, the hard part.
Correct.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, let's go. We're going to go to queries now, and we're going to set up a query real quick. We go up here to the new button and press new. Since we didn't have any defined, we couldn't open any. I'll show you what's in the query wizard. There's not much that we want to use right now because we're going to do the Valentine's Day mailing list. Okay, we have a cross tab query, find duplicates, find unmatch, and archive query. And those are great, and they're kind of difficult, especially the find duplicates, because that's a lot of work, because it has to go in there and check every field against, whatever you tell it to, and see if it exists in the database. And if you're doing a couple thousand, it's a great thing, with a couple thousand records. These are great queries, but we don't need to use those. We're going to go back and just use a new query, and we open up the query. And the first thing that happens is Access asks us which database we want to use, or not, sorry, which data, but which table we want to use for the query. And we're going to click friends number 2, and that's where we put the Valentine's information. Also, if you want, you can add more tables. So you can add like 12 tables in a query. It's a great thing, but we only need to use one. Okay, but wait a minute. Just to show you, I right-clicked on this query properties. I can go back here and add a table and say I want to add baby shower. Watch what happens. Nothing. But there's a common name, and say if I want to link the two, like say I had certain information, for example, say this is 2 like tables with some common information, but one had some information that the other one doesn't. So say one table had all my sales in it, but this other table stores the PO number, and I need to send a accounts receivable statement to a customer, and they want to see PO number. Then I would establish a link between the tables, and in this case I could do it with last name. They're identical, and as you see, there's a link established between. It was very simple. I'll just highlight.
Drag it across there.
Right. Whoop, I just deleted a table, and no big deal. But add it, close. Again, this is like one of the coolest things. Let me put it up here for dramatic effect. I take this I have last name in both tables. So I take it, I want to create a relationship between these 2 tables to get this similar information, and I've created a link. And so now this table is linked by this field, and I can add tables and link it to other fields. Okay, I can add another one that's linked by zip code or something, and
that's great.
So it's really neat. So we can go over here, delete that table. Okay, we only need the friends database table, and here's all your fields, okay? So if you want to make it easy, you can drag this star and put it in this is our what's called a QBE form, query by example form. You can drag the star and it'll place all those fields in the query. But we don't need it because we're making a mailing list. Let's keep it nice and simple. We don't really need titles. We want first name, last name, and see what I'm doing? I'm just picking up the name, the field, like address, and dragging it and placing it on the query form.
Drag and drop.
Right, and it sees the little X's. That means that it's going to show. It says show. That means it's going to show. Okay? So we'll pick up
address 2.
Right. Now, if I don't want to do this, I can hit city, and I need the zip and state. I can hit the shift key, and it'll highlight those 3, and I'll put them over here, and it'll place them across for me.
All 3 of them.
Right. So I could actually have done that from the beginning.
Okay. So with the hotkeys, just like normal Windows, the control and the
Correct.
shift and everything.
Right. Exactly. And then we want Valentine's card as our last one. And this one, we want everybody that we said we're going to send. Earlier we updated our little database to send a database card. I mean a Valentine's card. So we want it to equal to yes. Okay, so we want everything that equals to, actually you don't do equals to here. I'm getting my databases mixed up. We want it to just yes. Okay, it shouldn't be, it's not case sensitive, but, and watch, if I hit tab, well, it knows it's that field, so it's a yes/no field, so it's going to be.
So when we did that database, and there was a column that said Valentine's Day card,
right.
Everyone that we said yes to will get a card now.
Right. We could also do it the other way. We could say no and make a database of everybody we're not going to, pursue.
Everyone that didn't send you a shower present, right?
Okay, and a good idea is to always save, and you hit the little disk up here icon, and a little save button pops up. Save your query before you run it. And you can always fix it easy. It's pretty easy to fix, but we'll just call this Valentine's And also you can have spaces. It's nice. It's not limited
Oh.
to 8 characters.
Well,
So I can
that's
do Valentine's cards, Valentine card, Valentine's card mailer.
All right.
And if I want to just get rid of that S, so I say Valentine cards mailing. Whoops.
Are you sure that's...
Yeah, I saved it.
That's
it's,
all right.
it's Mailinger.
And then
Okay.
a show with, what's his
All
name?
right. So now what we do, and we can go to a data sheet view again, like we usually have, and that's generally you can. And this one's kind of weird because you can push either button and it runs it. Generally, the run query is that exclamation point, so you just click it, and it ran it. So that was pretty quick, even for a non-powerhouse
So it
machine.
picked out 22 names.
Right, and it picked out everybody that has yes. If you look over here, Valentine's card equal to yes. So we have 22 people that out of 90 that are going to get Valentine's cards. Now,
At 32 cents.
this was done at random, and there are some male names here, so it doesn't insinuate anything.
All right.
Okay, so now we got our query. All right. Also, there are couples there too. So anyway, so it shows up here: Valentine cards Mailinger. We could rename it and just grab that ER out, and away we go. We got a nice query, so we've picked out everybody. So, what's the next thing you want to do?
I don't know. You want to show some, I mean, is there anything that you can do? What are some more of these buttons here? What?
Okay, those are wizards.
Oh, that
Okay,
actually is the wizard.
yeah, those are the wizard buttons. Now, you could get them here, or you can go up there. Okay, next thing, we got our query, so now what do we have to do? We have to, we might as well do a little form.
That'd be
okay?
great.
All right, now this one, these forms, it's nice to go ahead, it says select a table or query, because it's required to build a form. Okay, and we're going to do Valentine's card mailing form. And this is just in case we want to see something. And in this case, we want to use the wizard because it really, there's a lot to making a form, and this makes it really easy.
A lot easier.
Okay, so we'll just pick single column, and it's going to put everything in single column. We can arrange it later. Okay, so now it's creating the form. The wizard's running. It's going out there, looking at our information, and says, okay, here's what I found. What do you want? I want everything. Okay, and then ask me, what style do I want? We can have embossed, shadowed, chiseled, standard, which is just pretty ugly.
Does it actually show you over there on the
Right,
left-hand side what it's
right
doing?
here. See, it's doing. I don't know if you can see it with that
I don't
detail,
think I can see it.
but we'll use emboss. It's kind of neat.
All right.
And then that's it. Finish. And then it creates the form. It tells you a little. It's 10% done. Then on the 20%, 50, 70. I don't know. Done. Okay. Here's our form. Okay. We're in our form, and that's it.
They don't have a first name. Why is that?
Yeah, right there. Oh, but this particular record didn't have a first name with it.
Oh.
Okay, now this
Go
is
to the
kind of
next one,
boring,
for
right?
example.
Okay, we can go down here,
Oh, I see. There's
Uh-huh.
the first name.
and you notice also it automatically created for a yes, no, instead of showing yes and no, it made it a checkbox.
Oh, great.
So you can uncheck it, and it would be unchecked, so it's not a Valentine's card receiver. So you can put in there like everybody you want to send birthday cards to, their children. You can do all sorts of fancy stuff. And what I did here is I already have, it's relatively easy. We can do this, okay? We're in this is the design mode of the form.
Oh, so you can add colors and all kinds of fun stuff.
Yeah, let's see here. Yeah, I just made it too big.
That's all right. We know what you kind of mean.
All right.
It's way over there.
Yeah. There we go. Okay, we're in what's called design view. And here's what we can do. There's some interesting things here. There's a lot of icons here, as you can see, and that's for adding labels, which is like first name, last name. These labels do not perform anything but give instruction.
Oh, I see. It added a whole nother
Right,
row of-
toolbar.
Toolbar.
These are called toolbars. I forgot to mention that earlier. Okay, we have, this is to add a text box like $, name. All these actual fields the text box come from fields and you associate it to a field. But
Right.
the wizard did that for us. This is pretty cool. Okay, you notice these handles. These are called handles. We got one here, and it turns into a hand, and then we got one here, it turns into a hand.
Right.
Okay, when the hand's like this, flat, I
Like
move
out,
that,
like
and
that.
it moves the label.
They can't see your hand over there.
I'm looking. See that little black
Yeah.
flat hand? Okay. I move both the control and the label. Watch this. I click it. When you click it, it automatically selects your control, which is where your information goes, and the label. Okay? If I just grab this with the one finger pointing,
Right.
it will move either one. So I can move just the label, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Or I can move just the control. Okay? But if I grab it where it's the flat hand over the label, I move both.
All right. So why would you want to do that?
Because you need to keep your labels with it.
No,
Otherwise,
I mean, why would you want to move that around like that?
watch?
What's the purpose of that?
Watch, because it's going to look nicer. All right,
Okay.
say I want to have like a semi-WYSIWYG look to my,
And what's WYSIWYG?
what you see is what you get.
All right.
Okay, now this is, for some reason, kind of strange. We can make that wider. I just grab it and widen it. And then I just come over here, move over there.
So every single thing is user definable in this program.
Right. And you can do a lot. I mean, you can do fonts. I mean, every box can have a different font if you so choose. Okay, for example, state should be 2 characters, so we just go over here and put it around 3, and it should be, let's
Right.
put it on one more. Okay, and then zip, and you can again put zip plus 4 or whatever you want to call it. And
Right.
since we know this is okay, you notice we marked Valentine on this thing,
Right.
on the wizard. We don't need Valentine.
All right.
So we just delete it, okay? All right, last but not least, let's move this little palette. Okay, and then we want to add some color maybe. Yeah, let's see here. Okay, we're going to change the back color to this, and we're going to change this color to this, okay? And that's what it's going to look like.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to see now, too.
Right.
A lot easier to read.
And that's it. And then, just so if you want to see what it looks like, we go over here, push the form view button, and away we go.
Great. All
So-
right. I think we're going to have to wrap it up here.
Holy
Again,
cow.
we just barely touched the surface of databases, but we just wanted to make sure everybody knew what they were and what the different parts of them were, fields and tables and that kind of stuff. But I want to make sure everybody watches next week's show. We have PC tax software. Then the following week after that is installing a multimedia kit. And I want to thank Carlos for being on the show, Carlos Ramirez from PC People. So stay tuned next week, and we'll see you then.